Hey guys, welcome back to Fawn Kettle Kitchen. I know it's been a while. This is the product of picking apples today at my mom's house. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be making applesauce because I need to make my apple barbecue sauce, and I'm going to be making apple juice. So let me show you all the apples that I picked from my mom's house today. Got this Bounty. This was about a 3/4 bushel basket of apples that I got. So I am going to be slicing, not really slicing, coring and taking some of the peels off the apples. I'm not going to do it to all of them. I started a little bit just so I can make sure I get a hand of this old-fashioned apple peeler. So I'm going to use the skins and the cores to make apple juice, which will be a second video. So we're going to start peeling these apples. Okay, so you want to make sure it goes through and through. You don't want it to be sideways. Pull the core back. And you just want a nice firm apple when you do that as well. So I'm going to actually put the core through after I take most of the peel off. So this one has an adjustable peeler for itself. So I'm going to start back here. I'm not worried about it to being perfect, so I'm just using the skins, which these would be great if you dehydrated them as well for snacks. I'm just going to use the skins and the core. So I actually didn't core that apple with this because I'm using a food mill. You'll see later on when I make the applesauce, having the core inside this doesn't matter. So I just cut it in half. I'm going to put it in the pan and I'm going to fill this with water to cover the apples after. So I'm going to continue. So I'm actually going to add some water to the skins and the cores now, just so they don't get a funny color. And this water is going to be part of the apple juice itself. I'm also going to put some water in there, just so I can make sure that nothing oxidizes before I can cook everything down. So I'm going to continue to fill that up just a couple inches to cover the apples that are in there now. These aren't the prettiest apples in the world, but I'm okay with that for the purpose because I'm peeling them and they're gonna be applesauce anyways. So you can actually probably go to a orchard and probably get a really good deal on the uglier apples because they're gonna end up tossing them because they can't sell them, or they'll have them marked down for a really low price so they can at least make some form of profit. I would definitely go to your local orchard, or even if you go to your local grocery store. I know my Stop and Shop has the they have this like little area for produce that is going, and you can get a great price for those. So I'm just cutting them in half and just putting them in the water. That is the applesauce pot. The peels are what I'm going to use for the juice itself, because this core is a pain in the tuchus. I need to upgrade is what I need to do. That is too soft of an apple. It's not even staying. So I'm just going to cut it, and that's why there's a little bit of softness down there. So kind of like a little rotten spots I do cut out. There's probably a worm in it or something like that. My mom's trees are not treated, so I guess you could say it's organic, but you have to pay for those words. But we don't run a farm out of my mom's place, so I just take the rotting or rotted pieces out, and I just continue. Sorry, didn't mean to hit you guys. They are slippery little buggers. So these little ones, I'm just going to cut in half. I'm not even going to bother getting them. They look fine. I'm just going to put them in the water. 16 quart pan is getting really full, so I'm actually going to start coring these, but without that, because these aren't perfectly round to actually peel them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a flat side here, and you're just going to kind of box it out. So now that I have the core, this is going to go into the juice bucket, and this is going to go into the stock pot. So I'm going to continue to do that with these smaller apples, just because I am losing room, as I said, in my quart stock pot. We're going to keep going. All right, so now that I have the stainless steel pan fill of the cores and the peels, I'm going to turn that on and boil that down or simmer it. I am going to, this is a 16 quart stainless steel pan. You want to use stainless steel, you want a non-reactive pan when you cook stuff like this. This is about 18 quarts of apples. I'm going to bring this up to a boil, and I'm going to simmer it until the apples are soft. And you're going to want to turn it and mix it every once in a while, because you don't want the sugars or the apples and the apples to stick to the bottom of the pan. All right, now that this is all boiled, these are all soft, we are going to strain them. I have a spider, and I am going to put them in a food mill. I've done a couple batches already. Well, actually my mom's here is helping me. This is the applesauce that is already been processed through the food mill. I still have my skins and cores in there for the apple juice. The remaining juice in here as well is going to become apple juice. So we're going to put this into the food mill. And then you're just going to process away.
You can go real slow.
No, you can keep going. So this is time consuming, but it is well worth it. So I'm going to have the juice, the applesauce, and I'm going to be making barbecue sauce with all these apples. So we'll be back. Alright, so for the juice part, and I'm going to get the rest of these apples out, I took a strainer and I put a old pillowcase. This is just a pillowcase that we've used for canning for years. And the pillowcase is underneath the strainer, so it's catching any of the seeds or extra pulp. I am just making sure that the juice is completely clear, doesn't have any pulp inside of it. So I'm just going to stir this down until the pulp is in this. I'm going to put the rest of these apples in the food mill that my mom is working for the applesauce, and we are almost there. Alright, so I took the strainer, dumped the rest of that into the food mill for the applesauce. There's also pulp in the bottom of this bag, so it's very heavy. So I'm actually going to let this drain inside the colander as well. So I transferred the pillowcase that has all the pulp inside of this into the strainer into a bigger enamel pan. I'm going to let this sit for about 15-20 minutes so all that juice can drain out before we mill up the rest of this. So one of the old-fashioned ways some of my parents had taught us to do it, my mom is tying up the pillowcase to my Swiffer because I don't have a regular mop because I have a Bissell Crosswave. So this is actually going to drain the colander underneath it, shush Chloe, for about 20 minutes. My dog is not happy about this. So now we're going to babysit this so the puppies don't drink any of it. Alright, so these scraps and cores, I'm going to dump the juice in with some of that juice. The pillowcase is still draining, so I'm going to get going on grinding this up for the rest of the applesauce. After doing all the apples with the food mill, we got about 12 quarts of apples. So I'm going to can that last, and you'll see why. I got about the same amount in apple juice, so we're going to can up the apple juice first, and we're going to hit the road with that. We're now going to get the apple juice into the jars. You want to leave a 1/4 inch headspace. I'm going to fill all these jars even if they don't fit into the large canner. I believe with having such a large canner, these should all fit. All right, so I have one of them filled and we're just going to continue. And of course, with any canning, before you put any of the domes onto the jars, you want to make sure that all the tops are free of any stickiness from the juice itself. All right, we're going to dome these up, put the rings on them, and get them in the big canner. So we're going to get these into the canner. And with hot water canning, you always want to make sure that the water goes at least 1 to 2 inches above the jar. Jars will fit inside. So I'm going to let that come back up to a boil, and it's going to process for 20 minutes. 20 minutes is up. I'm going to take the juice out of the can. So you're going to let these sit overnight so you can check to make sure that they sealed. And that's how easy it is. It may be a lot of work, but to get apple juice. So I'm going to take the rest of these out.